Yes, he's the guy everyone's talking about, the new man in charge at West Ham United. We all remember his Brighton days, playing some of the most beautiful football in the league. He had that stint at Chelsea, and let's be honest, we're still scratching our heads over that one. He's the man who went from managing a Swedish team literally no one knows exists, to managing one of the Premier League's biggest names. But what's the story behind the quiet, thoughtful manager? Well, let Hammerbites take you on a journey through the real history of Graham Potter. Born Graham Stephen Potter on the 20th May 1975 and raised in Birmingham, Solihull, a town nestled in the heart of the West Midlands. Young Potter grew up in a working-class family with his parents, Val and Steve Potter. Football was a constant presence in his early years. Surrounded by Birmingham City fans, Potter stood apart as a loyal supporter of their rivals, Aston Villa. Yet football wasn't the only thing to spark his imagination. Surprisingly, Potter's childhood also included a creative streak that saw him dabbling in theatre and artistic projects. While he loved the beautiful game, young Graham was as comfortable on the stage as he was on the pitch, a multi-talented boy with a mind open to the world. Even so, football remained close to his heart, and his early playing days saw him lacing up his boots for local youth teams in Solihull, with one team, Knoll North Star, leaving a lasting impression on his early development. It was here that he began to understand the importance of teamwork, discipline, and community, values that would later define his career. As Potter entered his teenage years, his talent on the pitch started turning heads. At the tender age of 17, around 1992, he caught the eye of Birmingham City scouts. Before he knew it, young Graham was signing on as a trainee for the Blues. It seemed like a dream come true, right? Well, not quite. Potter's early days at Birmingham City were far from a fairy tale. Just imagine, a quiet, deep-thinking 17-year-old suddenly thrust into the senior team spotlight. That's exactly what happened, and the young boy was thrust into a situation he was far from ready for. Potter himself described it as a baptism of fire, and boy, was he right. As a young left-back, Potter faced challenges most players his age could barely imagine. He endured the harshest of criticisms, including the devastating experience of being booed off the pitch by his own supporters. Reflecting on that turbulent period, Potter acknowledged it as a bad time in Birmingham City's football history, a struggle not just for himself, but for the club as a whole. These struggles hit Potter hard, shaking his love for the game to its core. It's a stark reminder of just how emotionally taxing football can be, especially for young players trying to find their feet in the professional world. Sure, Potter's tough start could have broken him, but it instead forged the resilience that would define his career. You see, Potter's journey from a struggling youngster to a tactical mastermind is full of surprises, and it all started with his rollercoaster ride through the English football pyramid. After those tough early days at Birmingham City, Potter didn't just curl up and call it quits. No way! He bounced from club to club. Stoke City was his next stop, where he made 59 appearances. Next, he caught the eye of Southampton, who splashed out £250,000 to bring him to the Premier League. Talk about a step up. He got a taste of the big time, making 8 appearances in the 1996 to 97 season. He played exceptionally well in a famous 6-3 victory against Manchester United. That performance even earned him a call-up to the England under-21 team. Potter's journey didn't stop there. He had stints at West Bromwich Albion, York City, and even some loan spells at Wycombe Wanderers, Northampton Town, and Reading. As a player, Potter was known for his versatility on the left side of the pitch. He could slot in as a full-back or push further up if needed. This adaptability would later come in handy in his coaching career. His final years were spent at Boston United and Macclesfield Town, where he played over 60 games before hanging up his boots at 30 in 2005. Yes, it's a seemingly average career compared to some of the greats. However, it taught Potter something invaluable. He learned what it was like to face criticism, to overcome struggle, and to keep pushing when things got tough. These experiences shaped the manager he'd soon become. But for him to become that manager, well, he took quite the unique route. While most footballers hit the booze after retirement, Potter started hitting the books instead. He dived deep into the world of academia, and when I say he went deep, I mean deep. So deep, in fact, that he attained a degree in social sciences from the Open University. But Potter doesn't just stop there. Nah, he then goes on a madness. And by a madness, I mean he then goes on to do a master's degree and all. And not just any master's. He got one in leadership and emotional intelligence from Leeds Metropolitan University. While other coaches are studying tactics boards, Potter's learning about psychology, communication, and how to really understand people. And guess what? This unusual approach is about to pay off in a big way. But before we get to that, let's talk about Potter's first coaching gig. Spoiler alert, it's not exactly Manchester United. While he's hitting the books, Potter's also getting his hands dirty with some real-world experience. He's taking up roles managing university football teams, putting all that book learning into practice on the pitch. You see, Potter's not just interested in tactics and formations, he's all about understanding what makes players tick. His master's degree in leadership and emotional intelligence isn't just a fancy title, it's the foundation of his entire coaching philosophy. While other managers are shouting from the sidelines, Potter's figuring out how to get inside his players' heads, in a good way of course. But doing it with university football teams is one thing, how about applying it to professional football? It's 2010 and Graham Potter is stepping into the unknown. He's just arrived in Sweden to manage Östersunds FK, a small club buried in the 4th tier of Swedish football. Not exactly the glamorous move you'd expect for a 35-year-old manager with big ambitions, is it? This was a club that struggled to pull in 500 fans on match days, more Sunday league than professional football. So why take the gig? Well, the club's owner had grand ideas, a vision of transforming Östersunds into a force to be reckoned with. For Potter, it was a chance to build something extraordinary from the ground up. But Potter didn't come to play it safe. From the get-go, he brought a completely different philosophy to the club. Forget endless drills on tactics and formations. Potter had his players putting on theatre productions, hosting art exhibitions, and even performing music concerts.
Coming up to Sweden was a dream achieving. Now I need to perform and keep believing.
It wasn't your typical football training regime. Now, you might be thinking, what's all this artsy stuff got to do with football? Well, according to Swedish football journalist Frida Fagerlund, it was all about forging closer bonds and developing teamwork. Imagine your centre-back and striker having to work together on a ballet routine. You can bet they'll understand each other better on the pitch after that. But here's the crazy part. It's working. Östersund starts climbing up the leagues faster than you can say Swedish meatballs. Potter's training sessions were all about ball work and problem solving. He created a culture where mistakes weren't something to be scared of, but opportunities to learn and grow. It's like he took everything he learned in those university classrooms and turned the football pitch into his own laboratory. And the results? They were nothing short of miraculous. Within 5 years, Östersunds FK achieved 3 successive promotions. They went from the 4th tier to the top flight, Allsvenskan. But Potter wasn't done yet. In 2017, he led the team to victory in the Svenska Cupen. That's the Swedish Cup to you and me. It was the club's first major trophy, and it came with a golden ticket, qualification for the Europa League. Now, let's put this in perspective. Imagine a team that was playing in front of 500 people just a few years ago, suddenly going toe-to-toe with some of Europe's biggest clubs. It's like your Sunday League team knocking out Manchester City in the FA Cup, and knock out big teams they did. Östersund's Europa League journey was like something out of a Hollywood script. They took down Galatasaray and Hertha Berlin, 2 clubs with way more money and history. But the real fairy tale moment, that came when they faced Arsenal in the knockout stage. Picture this, Östersunds FK, a team from a small Swedish town, walking out at the Emirates Stadium. And what do? They only go and beat Arsenal 2-1 at their own turf. Okay, they didn't make it through on aggregate, but come on, beating Arsenal in London? That's the stuff of legends. But it wasn't just about the results on the pitch. Potter's approach was transforming players' careers. Take Saman Ghoddos, for example. He'd been rejected by other clubs, but under Potter's guidance, he flourished. It just goes to show, sometimes all a player needs is the right manager to believe in them. Graham Potter's journey from Swedish sensation to Premier League innovator was entering its next chapter. After his extraordinary success with Östersunds FK, English clubs were keen to secure the services of this tactical genius. Swansea City were the first to take the gamble, appointing Potter as their manager in 2018. Though his time at Swansea was brief, it was transformative. In just 1 season, he led the team to a respectable 10th place finish in the Championship and an unforgettable FA Cup quarter-final run. Potter's possession-based attacking philosophy stood out, with Swansea completing the most passes per 90 minutes in the league. It didn't take long for Brighton and Hove Albion to take notice. In May 2019, they brought Potter in to lead a new era for the Seagulls, a decision that would redefine the club's identity from survivalists to innovators. When Potter arrived on the south coast, Brighton were a team in survival mode. They had narrowly escaped relegation under Chris Hughton, playing a rigid and defensive style that prioritized staying afloat over entertaining fans. As former Brighton striker Glenn Murray recalled, It was about survival for us stepping into the Premier League, but Potter wasn't there to settle for mediocrity. He came to transform the club from top to bottom. From day one, Potter set out to revolutionize Brighton's style of play. Under his guidance, the team shifted from a defensive, rigid 4-1-4-1 to a more adventurous, fluid approach, often using a 3-4-3 or 5-2-3 formation. His tactical flexibility, a hallmark of his coaching career, became evident as Brighton adapted to opponents with shape-shifting precision. The focus on building from the back gave players like Lewis Dunk, Shane Duffy, and Dan Burn a platform to shine. Dunk, in particular, found his underrated passing abilities brought to the forefront as Brighton's centre-backs led the team in passes during Potter's early matches. Over 3 years, Potter transitioned Brighton from a side focused on survival into one capable of dominating games against the Premier League's elite. He didn't just improve results, he made Brighton a team worth watching, and their possession-based style began to frustrate even the biggest teams. By the 2021-22 season, Potter's Brighton had fully embraced his expansive vision, and the team went on to finish in 9th place in the league, their highest ever in the top flight. Along the way, they delivered some unforgettable moments, including a 4-0 demolition of Manchester United. Even Pep Guardiola, a managerial mastermind himself, praised Potter's Brighton. "I like watching Brighton play, I recognize it." For Potter, there could be no higher compliment. But Potter's influence wasn't just about tactics or results. It was about changing the culture of the club. He turned a group of players ill-suited to expansive football into one of the Premier League's most dynamic teams. By the start of the 2022-23 season, Potter's Brighton had hit their stride. A 5-2 victory over Leicester City saw them sitting 4th in the league, cementing their status as European contenders. Potter's tactical genius and relentless pursuit of improvement had turned Brighton from relegation battlers into one of the Premier League's most exciting teams, proving that even in the world's toughest league, a bold vision and the willingness to adapt can achieve extraordinary results. After his success at Brighton, Graham Potter received the opportunity of a lifetime, the chance to manage Chelsea. On paper, it seemed like a dream job, but in reality, it was a poisoned chalice. The challenge was immense from the start. Potter was thrown into the deep end, managing 14 matches across the Premier League and Champions League in just 6 weeks. Reflecting later, he admitted, "It was an overload situation for me," and acknowledged that a lack of time to plan and train was one of his early mistakes. There were actually promising signs early on. A commanding 3-0 win over AC Milan in the Champions League gave fans hope that Potter's tactical ingenuity could translate to success at the highest level. But these flashes of brilliance were overshadowed by mounting issues. Potter inherited a squad in transition, bloated with 32 players, making consistency impossible. Injuries to key figures like Thiago Silva and Cesar Azpilicueta destabilized an already fragile setup. Potter used 6 different formations during his brief tenure, but the constant tinkering prevented the team from developing a clear identity. Despite averaging one of the highest possession shares in the league, Chelsea's attack was toothless. The team created chances but struggled to convert, with a dismal 7% conversion rate, one of the lowest in the Premier League. Chelsea spent just 24% of their time in winning positions, reflecting their inability to assert control in matches. Off the pitch, the pressure of managing a club like Chelsea took its toll. Potter opened up about the mental and emotional strain, revealing that his family had received death threats during his time in charge. "Your family life suffers, your mental health suffers," he admitted, painting a sobering picture of life at the helm of a club with sky-high expectations. In the end, Chelsea's board, known for their impatience, decided to part ways with Potter in April 2023 after just 7 months. His record of 31 matches, 12 wins, 8 draws, and 11 losses highlighted the struggles of his tenure. Fans and pundits alike questioned whether Potter's methods, which relied on long-term trust and cohesion, could ever work in a club with such a short-term focus. Potter's time at Chelsea is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the unique challenges that come with managing at the top. While his tenure may not have worked out, there's little doubt that Graham Potter remains a very promising managerial talent. The lessons he learned at Stamford Bridge may well shape the next chapter of his career. After the Chelsea rollercoaster, Graham Potter took time to step away, reflect, and recharge. Now, after 20 months out of the spotlight, he's back, and this time he's chosen West Ham as the canvas for his next footballing masterpiece. Potter's decision wasn't rushed. He spoke to numerous clubs, weighing his options carefully, but something about West Ham felt right. "It's an amazing club with a tremendous loyal fan base," Potter said. "It just felt like the right fit. For Hammers fans, that's an exciting sentiment from a manager known for creating teams that reflect his values both on and off the pitch. His appointment hasn't convinced every supporter just yet, but Potter is no stranger to winning over skeptics. From his transformational work at Östersunds FK to reshaping Brighton into one of the Premier League's most innovative sides, Potter thrives in challenges where he can build something special. And he sees West Ham as just that, a big challenge, as he called it. It's a fresh start for both Potter and the Hammers. With a squad that has room to grow and a manager eager to prove his best days are ahead, this could be the beginning of something special in East London. It might take time, but Potter's track record suggests one thing: when he's given the right tools and trust, he delivers. So, Hammers, buckle up. The Graham Potter era is here, and it just might surprise you. Graham Potter's journey from a struggling player to a trailblazing manager proves that adaptability and hard work can lead to incredible success. His blend of tactical creativity and emotional intelligence might just be the fresh perspective West Ham needs to rise up the Premier League table. Let's see what Potter and West Ham cook up together. As the man himself might say, it's not about the individual, it's about the collective. Get ready for a revolution in claret and blue. Now, I've got a level with you. Making these videos is like a full-time job, and sometimes it's tough to keep going. But your support fuels my passion. If you want to be part of our Hammers community and help shape the future of this channel, hit that subscribe button. Your support could turn this into something bigger, bringing you even more inside scoops and analysis. I've been experimenting with different styles, and I'm leaning towards creating more in-depth, long-form content like this one. Think deep dives that truly bring value. In fact, I've already been working on something behind the scenes for quite some time now. Here's a little teaser. We're talking hour-long documentaries. Stay tuned, it's going to be big. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.